Whenever you talk about plants, the first thing that people mention are flowers.
Flowers come in every imaginable colour, and it's these colours that make flowers so beloved. Whether it's a wedding bouquet or a potted plant on your windowsill, flowers bring joy and radiance wherever they are. But what is the function of a flower? Why do plants have flowers?
Well, simply to reproduce. The purpose of a flower is to reproduce and create seed for the next generation. But how do they do it?
Well, firstly, we need to look closely at the insides of a typical flower. Now, at the centre, we will find the female parts of the flower. At the top, we find the stigma. Below this is the style. The style is a long tube that leads down to the swollen area at the bottom, known as the ovary. Together, all three are referred to as the pistil. Now let's look at the male parts. Now these long thin stalks are called the filament. The filaments run all the way down towards the ovary, and at the end of them is the anther. Now the anther is where all the pollen is located. And the word we use for all the male parts is the stamen. As you can see from this lily, the stamen and the pistil are very clear. So how does the pollen from the anther get to the stigma? Well, here's a clue.
So that's why flowers are full of colour and smells, because they want to attract the bees and other insects.
This interaction between bee and flower is called pollination.
So what's in it for the bees?
Well, the bee gets a sweet tasting drink from the flower called nectar for its trouble. So every time a bee visits a flower, it brushes against the anther and moves the pollen to the stigma. Now that the pollen is on the stigma, it can send down a very fine tube all the way down the style into the ovaries and fertilise the flower.
And now that the flower is fertilised, it swells up and becomes a fruit. Inside are the baby seeds and the next generation.
So the next time you're eating a piece of fruit, remember that fruit was once a beautiful flower. But some plants don't require flowers or bees to transport their pollen. Some plants rely solely upon the wind.